Thanks for tuning in to the Old Dirty Basement. On this week's episode, we're covering part 2 of the disappearance of Aundria Bowman.
Indeed, the continuing story. Who knows? Will they find her?
Tarkanian, Bowman. What's going to happen?
Yeah, let's find out. We hope you're enjoying the podcast, and if you are, leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify, on Apple, a written review, and sit back, relax, and enjoy part 2 of the disappearance of Aundria Bowman.
This is the Old Dirty Basement, home to debauchery, madness, murder, and mayhem. A terror-filled train ride deep into the depths of the devil's den.
With a little bit of humor.
History.
And copious consciousness.
I'm your announcer, Shallow Throat. Your hosts are Dave, Matt, and Zap. I love you, Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right.
Hey, this is Dave.
Matt.
And Zap.
And welcome to the Old Dirty Basement.
Where every week we cover a true crime,
Murder.
Or compelling story.
so sit back.
Relax.
And comprehend.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Old Dirty Basement. I am Matt. With me always is Dave and Zap. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Yay, good morning.
What a beautiful early November day out there.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, the leaves are changing. It was 80-something degrees yesterday in
That
October.
doesn't make a lick of sense, man. I don't understand how the fuck that happened.
Yeah.
How is it 80 degrees on Halloween?
Yeah, what, like you saw these kids like taking their costumes off. They're like running around like their heads on their masks are up over their heads. It was hot. It was warm.
They had the big one this year is the inflatable dinosaurs that you like get inside.
Oh, yeah.
And the kids, like everyone that I saw, they were out of it by, half off.
Yeah,
Couldn't deal with the heat, but this is a hot one today.
yeah.
Disappearance of Aundria Bowman. We got to wrap this up.
Part 2.
Part 2. So usually we record these back to back.
Yep.
And we did take a little break, which is maybe good. We had time to reflect.
Yeah, I get to sit on it, think on it, let it soak in.
Right.
Like soaking.
Right. Pretty much, yeah.
So that's
That might be
that's
more
the definition of soaking.
Yeah, it might be better suited for Kingpin.
Yeah, right.
In Amish country.
That's a Mormon thing. Too,
Oh,
right?
shit, that's right. It's Mormon.
it's
It's
a
not
Mormon
Amish.
thing.
That's right.
What, the Mormons soak themselves?
Yeah,
You don't know what that is?
They soak with each other.
No.
Come on. Come on, man.
You got to
know
look it up.
soaking.
No, what is soaking?
Yeah, after the episode, consult your local internet on soaking.
Soaking, okay.
Yes, definitely.
Is it like milking?
No.
No.
Soaking.
It's just soaking.
Dude, you'll get to it.
Is it like moist?
Sometimes.
It's like
Okay.
something you will discard.
All right, I'll look it up.
It might blow your mind.
Why do I feel naive right now?
You're not.
You're
You're
not.
fine. You're just look, man. We're old men now, dude. We would know all of this stuff if we were kids, but it just dribbles in.
Yeah.
I'm just getting into like some of the dialect now, like the Riz, or if you have like the Riz or the
Oh, like the hip stuff.
the hip stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one today, we're going to finish up part 2 of Aundria Bowman. Hopefully part 2, maybe part 3. I doubt it, though.
Part 3. Come on.
Part 7
you're-
of the Aundria Bowman.
That's a lot of milking right there.
Yeah.
Maybe too much milking. So I
That's-
guess, do we want to go back to want a quick little recap?
Just revisit what we went over so far.
Yeah. So far, we started with a lady named Kathy Tarkanian, hippie, ended up getting preggers, gave her child up for adoption. Her kid was adopted by Dennis and Brenda Bowman.
Mm-hmm.
So Dennis and Brenda Bowman adopted Aundria. I should say renamed her Aundria. Everything's going swimmingly. Eventually, like any other kid, she's going to become a bit of a problem child. Those teenage angst years. Some trouble in school, this, that, or the other thing. One day, March 11th, 1989, Aundria went missing. Just went missing.
Right. Did she run away? Did she get kidnapped?
I mean,
Well, I think they said run away. She was like seen in other parts of town
She
or
sure-
some different states. She was out there.
reports came in from far and wide saying, hey, I saw her here. I saw her there. I see her everywhere.
It's like Dr. Seuss.
It is
Yeah.
just like Dr. Seuss, but it's the case of the missing Aundria Bowman. Where'd she go? So again, there were sightings of her. There was all kinds of stuff. Years would go by. There would eventually, I think they found a dead woman, the carcass of a dead woman.
Yes.
There was an armchair sleuth that was I guess he was into, finding or solving these mysteries. Like, who are these people gone missing? Where are they now? What's going on?
No, it's a carcass of a dead woman, like a Rob Zombie album or something.
Yeah.
I think that is Rob
Is
Zombie.
it Rob
Yeah.
Zombie?
Carcass of a dead woman.
Yeah.
Dragula. So Armchair Sleuth, he ends up, thinking that this dead woman is actually the missing Aundria Bowman.
Mm-hmm.
So they call in this Kathy Turkanian out of nowhere. We're talking decades later, saying, "Hey, man, we want to do a DNA test on you. We think we found your dead spawn." Again, that she had given up for adoption years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out it wasn't her. Like Shaggy, it wasn't me.
That's right.
So, all right, that's all right with the world. But this Kathy Turkanian comes to find, well, wait a second. If my birth daughter is missing, well, where the hell is she?
What happened?
Yeah, what happened? So as time goes on, we learn a little bit more about the parents, the adopting parents, I should say, Dennis and Brenda. As it turns out, Dennis had a bit of a troubled past. He in 1980, when Aundria was only 5 or 6 years old, Dennis pleaded guilty to assault with intent to commit sexual misconduct after he tried to lure a teenage girl into the woods outside. He was in for 5 years. Aundria was 11 years old when he was released. And then now this is way, way, way after the fact, in 1998, this is long after Aundria had disappeared, Dennis was arrested for B&E, for breaking into a coworker's home to steal her
Panties.
her panties.
B&E, I thought that was like that, like sodomy or whatever.
Yeah. That B&E.
B&E.
Yeah.
That's that
Chains and whips and stuff.
Yeah.
BDSM.
Yes.
BDSM.
Yes.
Not to be confused with ASMR
No. And soaking.
and soaking.
So this is just a testament to the power of the internet.
Yeah.
And how that can change whole investigations and everything. And I think we got into the discussion at the end of the episode. It's been, 2 weeks now, but about adoption and like if you're an adoptive parent and you get into trouble or you have like trouble with the law or something like that, if it should affect your custody and all that.
Right. And the answer is no chance.
No chance, because you're
You're the parent.
the parent. Yeah.
You're acting as if you are. It's like that kid is your own. In fact, that kid is your own.
Yes. Legally. It is your own.
Legally, yes. Yeah, at this point, that's where we're at kind of in the story. And I guess the birth mother is kind of harassing.
This Tarkanian lady would not leave these people alone. And she said she had a suspicion, like a leaking suspicion. It was driving her nuts.
The mother's intuition, right?
Yeah. And she was like, something's wrong. Something's not adding up. And like you said, all these people online, these armchair detectives. Yeah. And they were just feeding her like these different things. And
Yep. Oh, there's one thing that we want to remind everyone. So, when Dennis was arrested in 1980 for the assault with intent to commit sexy misconduct,
Right.
he had to actually miss his arraignment because he was in Norfolk, Virginia at the time,
Yes.
for a 2-week military drill. I believe we had asked our listeners to remember that,
Foreshadow.
but just in case you didn't, there it is again.
Yes.
So, all right, let's dive in, shall we? All right. Well, back in 1980, 25-year-old Kathleen Doyle was found raped and murdered in her home in Norfolk, Virginia. Now, this is the same place Dennis had been when he'd missed his arraignment for the 1980 case that landed him in prison for 5 years.
yeah, the Navy base is right there.
That's
in
right.
Norfolk.
That's right. Advances in DNA testing had made the break in the Kathleen Doyle case possible. Investigators were able to build a DNA profile from semen found on Kathleen's bedspread at the crime scene. Using genealogy matching, they compiled a list of 31 names who were possible matches, and Dennis Bowman was number 31 on that list. It's like 31 flavors.
Yeah, that's crazy, like how DNA lasts so long like that.
Dude,
Yeah, once they get that schmear,
Jurassic Park, bro.
they put it away in a plastic bag, and that's it.
It's Jurassic.
It just amazes me though, like how something from so long, and I've heard of cases where it was even further back and they extract DNA. Or now, is this something where they just hold on to evidence and then they go in and look for DNA, or did they know back in the day, like, oh, there's material here that might be useful in the future?
Well, no, they were experimenting with that stuff back in, you know how like they have VCRs from like 1930.
Well, I get it.
Shit like that.
Yeah, true. I get it like in the 80s maybe, but let's say like they had DNA from like, I think it came up in the Ripper case.
Yeah, they hold on to blood samples, any kind of like semen, any kind of fluids. I think
fluids.
Yeah, just to have in
I gotta
record.
believe they keep. I don't want to say keepsakes per se, but if you find a bedspread that has this stain on it, and that this is a crime that still remains unsolved or yet to be solved, you just throw all this stuff into like a Tupperware bin, and it just sits there waiting to get touched again.
Processed or looked at. So yeah, I was just wondering about that. I was thinking about that on even older cases where DNA was not really probably even known yet. I mean, I wonder how far back that goes, that they knew, like, hey, at some point we might be able to do something with this. But it just, you know what I mean?
Like when they would go like touch something like on the ground, they put it in their mouth. Oh, look here, Shane.
Yeah, that's
blood, Shane.
Yeah, right. Hey, that's not whipped cream.
No,
Something like that.
no, it's not.
They're like, hey, Bill, hey, test this. Like, nope, not whipped cream, sir.
What was she doing with Greek yogurt in the bed?
That doesn't make any sense. That's an odd. It's an odd snack fetish.
That's why we promote safe sex here in the basement. Wrap it up.
That's right. But so they had found this DNA, and they kind of ran it through one of those ancestry databases. Is that what it was?
Yep.
And
Again, this thing has been ruining people's lives and helping people.
It's true. Are you talking like 23andMe shit?
Yes.
Yeah. It's 100% ruining people's lives.
Wait, hey, Dad, is it true I have a brother?
Yeah.
No, what are you talking about? Look online.
yeah, we got in a discussion with my wife, and I was talking about, because we had brought that up on the last episode, and I said about how looking at the negative aspects of that, of going on one of those sites.
Yeah.
And I never really took that angle, but when we were talking about it, I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like, you could dig up some skeletons, and not necessarily you, but like a relative or something. True story.
I just met my cousin for the first time at my family reunion.
Oh, for real?
Yes. And it was through, my uncle, I guess, had a kid and never knew about the kid. And then on our, what was that called? Not 23andMe. What's the other one?
Ancestry.com.
Which I was on. My cousin called me. He's like, does this name keep popping up on yours as first cousin? And I was like, yeah. And there it was.
That's so messed up, man.
Yeah. So this girl, contacts my cousin Nathan. He contacts her, and he's like, what's this? What's that? And then, our family's like, oh, nothing could have happened. Everything is like a big controversy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my one uncle, we have a cousin. She's pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Not to mention, like, you go back and like great grandfather Jebediah Dahmer or something like that, and you find out like
you're like, oh man, that's a rough one too.
Related, so
it's true. Look, you can have that shit, man.
Better keep them mouth swabs to yourself.
That's right, man. Look, just let the sleeping dogs lie, man. Just let it go. Move on.
Yep.
There's no need for that shit. There's no. What are you solving? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I guess outside of this, they using it for law enforcement. It's a benefit for them.
Solve the crime. That's great.
That's what it's out there for, pretty much.
Well, in a stroke of either good karma or just plain luck, while at a police conference in Norfolk, the Virginia police investigator assigned to the Kathleen Doyle case randomly met the Michigan State Police detective assigned to the Aundria Bowman disappearance. The two exchanged notes, and Dennis Bowman became suspect number one. With Dennis now in the crosshairs of Virginia and Michigan State Police as a suspect in the 1980 rape and murder of Kathleen Doyle, Michigan State Police had a plan. They needed Dennis's DNA to prove that it matched that of the semen found on the bedspread at Kathleen's murder scene. How do they get his DNA? They got to nail this down completely. They have to. This has to be 100% right on.
I'll get his sample now.
Yeah.
Right.
They're like, look, man, we found this stain on
the bedspread.
Yeah, what was it? On Monica Lewinsky's dress.
Mm-hmm.
And now we got to match your DNA to this.
Right.
That's exactly right.
I have a question, though. So did you watch the documentary? I don't know if you remember this.
On Bill Clinton?
Well, that one, too. But no,
that was awesome, by the way.
I didn't get to see that one.
Oh, dude, it was so good.
Is that on Netflix? Or?
It was on FX.
FX.
Was it like a show?
Shit, yeah. It was like a 4 or 5 part show. Dude, it was awesome. They did one on OJ, too. Where Cuba Gooding Jr. played OJ.
Yeah. Crimes in America.
Yeah. So this one they did one on Bill Clinton.
Oh,
who played Monica Lewinsky?
I don't know. Some fat chick.
She's pretty hot right now. Like if you look at
dude, I always thought she was good looking.
I think she was good looking.
I don't think he struck out with that one.
No. Him and his bent ass junk.
He did not have sex with her though.
Monica Lewinsky.
No, he did not have sex with her.
No, he only got blowjobs.
Yes.
So back to this case.
He said it's like signing my autograph.
I know, right? That's his signature move.
Signature.
Jesus Christ.
So in the documentary, they had referenced they went through the crime scene of the house, and it was like a little Cape Cod house, and the one friend of hers was there the night before. And
this is Kathleen Doyle.
This is Kathleen Doyle's house.
The dead and raped woman from Norfolk, Virginia.
Correct.
Okay.
In 1980.
Yeah.
Was she the one? She was having wine and stuff with her friend.
With her friend and all that. And the next day, the friend couldn't get a hold of her, got concerned, sent her husband, and her went over, and she walked in, like pushed the door open, and went through the crime scene basically. But they referenced there was a burn mark on Kathleen's face.
Okay.
In the shape of like they said it could have been a cigar or a Lincoln log.
Oh.
And they found a charred Lincoln log at the scene. They had no kids.
So why would there be a Lincoln log?
Why would there be a Lincoln log? So I'm wondering if would Dennis had a Lincoln log with him? Like, you know, like as a parent, you're cleaning up and maybe
like in the back of your car or something? Or?
Right. Why? Like they never went back to.
They never touched on that. Yeah, I remember them talking about it. But why would you burn a Lincoln log?
Why would you even have a Lincoln log?
I'm pretty sure it was a cigar.
Well, no, there was a charred Lincoln log that they said they initially thought it was like somebody took a cigar and put it out on her face.
But they found a Lincoln log.
A charred Lincoln log that was burned on one end.
So are they trying to like maybe say it was torture, some sort of torture? He was like maybe lighting the Lincoln log and burning her face with it or scaring her with it.
It was definitely like a sadistic killing. They said he stabbed her a bunch of times, and like it was not something where like somebody had did this before. Like we always talk about, you just don't commit a crime like this like once.
Right. So that's the thing. Like these two officers. There's this guy there's the guy investigating the long standing case of the dead Kathleen Doyle.
Yes.
And then there's this other guy from a completely different state in Michigan who's now investigating this long outstanding disappearance of Aundria Bowman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the Kathleen Doyle, that was pretty much shelved, what they call the cold case type things, where they got a guy working on 150 cold cases.
I think it's serendipitous as hell, though, that these two just happened to meet at a fucking conference. Just by chance. Like they're standing by the coffee and donuts. Or
I don't think it was by
table.
chance. It was for a reason.
Well, that John Smith, that's the guy's name from Norfolk.
Okay.
And he was cool as shit, man. Like Matt and I were talking about it. Like
this guy was
the glasses. Like he just kept changing his glasses out, like stylish glasses and stuff. But he had referenced that how you said about being lucky. Like he's like, I'm the most unlucky dude on the planet. He's like, if there's like a thunderstorm, I'm under it and this and that. And he said, by chance, I meet this guy at a conference and we're putting our notes together. So what are the chances?
No, this guy's smooth though. Like he'd be one of them guys. It's like an underground murderer type dude. You know, like I think he could get away with anything.
Yeah, this guy was pretty cool, like pretty suave looking. He looked like a record executive or something.
Yeah,
like guy, you know. But yeah, that is crazy that they happened to just come across at a conference.
Yep, and they both basically determined like, oh, Dennis, this is the guy.
This is the guy.
I think we're both looking for the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
But back to that Lincoln log, I'm wondering if that ties to Dennis in some way. If he happened to have it, like you clean up after your kids, I'd do it. But
he wasn't with the kids at the time.
That's what I'm saying. But maybe he had like a pair of jeans and like it was in his pocket from back home.
Or maybe even he was like looking at other places and maybe like, you know, spying on kids and maybe, you know, I don't know. That's weird. Or was that like a daycare center or something?
I had Lincoln logs.
I think we all did.
We all did. It was a common toy, but yeah, just they referenced it like it was going to be a big part of like, oh,
and then they just let it go.
And then they let it go.
Yeah. Oh.
And it seems like the DNA is like obviously that's the concrete thing.
This is yet another reason why I tend to not rely on Netflix shows.
Yeah.
I just don't. We've seen this before. We saw it with TMI.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see it with the Menendez brothers.
Right.
There's just going to be a slant. Everybody has a slant or some kind of bias that they want to put forth.
You think they're trying to sell Lincoln logs?
Yeah.
They're coming
marketing.
back.
These sons of bitches are trying to sell Lincoln logs.
You're anti-Netflix.
Yeah.
Don't think of it as anti-Netflix. It's the idea of...
This app's all about just the facts on the internet.
Yeah, dude, look.
It's the same as Netflix.
I just want facts. But if I can corroborate
everything you read is true.
Look, if I can corroborate it back and forth between a number of different sources, then I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of when you put forth a show, like again, a Netflix series, I don't care, Amazon, Hulu, any of them, you're trying to draw people in, right? Like you're
making it a show.
You're making it a narrative. You're making it suspenseful. You're making some kind of something, and you're trying to push some kind of angle. Like even in this, I watched the Netflix thing.
Right.
I did not like some of the angles that were taken in that show. Like not at all.
They can definitely edit it to make it a certain way, and I totally agree with you on that. But I do not agree that when you have the actual detectives and people involved that are being interviewed, I mean, I think that's valuable information when you're looking at a case. Now, I get what you're saying. Like, for instance, we were talking about the Menendez. Right. That's out right now. It's hot. It's a reenactment.
Right.
Like, how do you take that and use that as like, oh, I know the case now? Right. You know what I mean? And
what are the differences in that? Like that this is more of like the documentary, but they do have like the filler in between where they show what Zap's talking about, where they play the intense music and they're building up to
like with
a certain scene, but then they go to the actual people. They go to the cops. Or
look at what we watched for that History Channel thing for the
Killdozer.
Killdozer or the North Hollywood murders.
Yes,
the North Hollywood shooting spree.
Right,
like that's a cool thing where they
actual footage. Yeah,
bring in the actual factual.
Yeah. I enjoy those. The ones where it's like the actual people involved. You get to see, put a name to the face, you know what I mean? And you get to hear their account of what happened. Could they edit it and like rework? You know, I'm sure they can edit and cut it and make it whatever they want.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying about that. I don't personally like reenactments because I feel like that's a director taking liberty. Like, oh, we're going to slant this way.
I thought the Dahmer one was pretty good as far as reenactments go. Or story.
I mean, that was
just a movie.
Just a movie.
Yeah,
okay.
It was good, but when you went through all the research on that, I feel like they tied it together pretty well.
Yeah.
It was pretty damn close. But yeah, I don't understand that part. I was just curious, like if you came across anything on that on a Lincoln Log, like why that even came up.
I think they did reference it to more of like the sadistic part you were talking about, to more of he was
painting him. He
was like messing with his prey. He was
I'm picking up what you're putting
hurting it, or it might have been lighting it and then like, scaring her with it. Who knows?
It's like what's the McDahmer effect where you
the triad,
the McDahmer triad. And so one of them is torturing animals when you're a kid. Mm-hmm. Maybe this weirdo dude or whomever with the Lincoln Log was just into torturing his prey, like Matt had said.
Yeah, it's just not your standard breaking, entering, and murder and rape. No. It's like,
but over the top. The Zodiac is on now, I think, on Netflix, and that's done very well. If it's one of those things where they're talking to the people directly, or the people that were involved. It's not there's really no reenactments or anything in it. It's just talking to the detectives, the people involved, and it's a good one.
Yeah.
Zodiac sign. In the years following her discovery of Dennis Bowman's checkered past, Kathy Turkanian remained confident that he had anything and everything to do with Aundria's disappearance. She harassed the Bowmans via social media. She engaged in constant threatening and harassing phone calls, and she even went so far as to post signs near their house offering an $11,000 reward for any leads uncovering who was responsible for Aundria's disappearance. Dennis and Brenda Bowman had had enough of Kathy Turkanian's harassing. They made their way to the county sheriff's office to air their complaints. While there, Dennis drank his fair share of water in between his rants about Kathy Turkanian. And when the Bowmans departed the sheriff's office, police swiftly took the cup Dennis had been using and lifted a DNA sample. Results concluded that the DNA Dennis Bowman left on the cup at the sheriff's office was a 100% match to the DNA found within the semen on Kathleen Doyle's bedspread. Mind blown.
Yeah. So with that DNA, like, I've heard of cases where they get it from trash and stuff like that. Like somebody's out in public and they're drinking out of a cup, and then they'll throw it in the trash and walk away, and then they'll go up and grab it. Like,
pick it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what the rule is on that, though. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure I've seen that done, but if you have to actually see the person,
I think trash is trash. Anything that the person left behind or throw, you're able to use anything.
Yeah.
From that, pretty much, I believe.
But I see where you're going, Dave. It's if you find something on the ground, who's to say that some other bum didn't, sip out of it or lick it or do whatever he might have done with it?
Right.
Put his own semen in that cup. Who knows?
But can't the cop just come and ask for a sample?
So it is interesting. Within the Commonwealth of Virginia, let's say you're pulled over, right? You're suspected for DUI.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot forcibly take blood from you.
Yeah.
But I
think the law is then they would say you refuse and they bust you anyway.
So the thing in Virginia, if you get yanked for a DUI, the trick every time is just to say nothing, spend a night in jail, and wake up the next morning
and just get out of there,
and then say, okay, now I'm willing to take that test or whatever. And
that's wild.
Yeah,
I heard that you throw your keys out the car.
I've heard that. I've heard that you make 4 left turns.
That one too. Yeah.
Where did that come from?
That's I've heard that one.
Yeah, the cops are like, nah, this guy's all right.
That was debunked. But,
that's right.
Yeah.
So when I mentioned that thing about they can't forcibly take your blood, I mean, so that is a law in Virginia. Pennsylvania, completely different. Like if you refuse to let them take your blood,
they'll arrest you.
You are 100% guilty. Versus Virginia, that's not the case. That's absolutely not the case.
No, but I don't know why they tried to play slick with getting his mouth on the water or his mouth on the cup.
I'm pretty sure
because all they had to do was say, you're a suspect. Here's a search warrant. We need a hair follicle.
We need your DNA.
Yeah, that circles back to my whole statement about the Virginia thing. I don't think they
can't do it.
I don't think they could have forced him to give. They could not have compelled him to give his DNA or to give any kind of sample or anything like that. They had to basically trick it out of him, and that is get him and only him to use this cup.
But see, I would think the tricking out of would be more of a crime or more of something that, because then you don't know if that was exactly his DNA.
I mean,
it could have been lost in the mix.
You've got 3 and 4 cops that are there that can certainly say, look, he's the only one. Yes, I testify. He's the only one here that's drank out of this cup. It's absolutely been him that's been drinking out of this cup.
Yeah, I mean, that would hold up in court. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but it's still, I don't know.
Shifty.
Yeah.
Shifty and shady.
Which, I mean, cops they're good at that. I mean, that's part of their job.
Hell yeah.
That's what they learn, stuff like that. So
for sure.
Look, next time I have a drink with Officer Vince, I'm going to take my cup with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
For real, just in case.
Let me get these prints with a piece of Scotch tape.
So yeah, this the DNA thing is one thing, but in the meantime, this Kathy Turkanian is just harassing the shit out of this couple. I mean, harassing the hell out of them. And I gotta wonder, it's, at one point, I get it. So these two finally went to the cops and said, look, man, this lady is just harassing the shit about us. She's calling us day and night. She's posting these signs offering rewards. Like, what the fuck? Like, what's this lady's fucking problem? She gave up her kid a long time ago. Get the hell out of our lives.
Well, she was checking out their house on Google Maps. She was flying.
Dude, she was a stalker, bro.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, but she was flying those drones over top of the house. She was in the front yard. They would sit there right outside of the Bowman's house,
just
and
get
just
lawn
sit there
chairs, sit across the road,
yeah, and just stare at them.
Well, they took road trips. Her and I guess it was her husband at the time. I don't know, to every location the Bowmans ever lived or were at, and they would scout the properties, and it was like way over the top. She put a lot of time into trying to pin something
on them.
This woman needs a goddamn job. Anyway,
I think she was like retired something.
She was something,
nurse or teacher. I don't know.
Basketball coach.
Yeah.
Well, after all that DNA matching and all that good stuff, in November 2019, Dennis Bowman was arrested for the nearly 40-year-old case of Kathleen Doyle's rape, strangulation, and murder. Note, Kathleen had been stabbed multiple times. Her hands had been tied. She'd been gagged with a pair of leotards. An electrical cord had been wrapped around her neck. Bruises had been found all over her body. And, of course, she'd been raped. In the weeks that followed, the Virginia investigator assigned to Kathleen Doyle's case inevitably got Dennis to tell his story. The story of a drunken mistake that placed him in the house and had him stabbing her. So this guy, the Dennis dude, he tells this, okay, yeah, sure. I guess I was at her house the night she was killed, but I didn't do it. I was just drunk. I just stumbled into her house and then I got out.
Yeah,
like she pushed me and I got out.
Drinking bourbons and Coke at the local bar, he said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The way this guy got it out of him was like pretty impressive. This John Smith.
That's a smooth.
He's a smooth cat.
Yeah, smooth
like
cat.
He went in, like they have the actual interrogation videos, which don't come off like that. Because he goes in and he's like, instead of saying I'm Detective John Smith, with Norfolk, Virginia police or whatever, he's like, I'm John Smith, how are you? You know, and he becomes friends with him.
Hey man, I'm John.
Yeah, he would like take his tie down. He would take his jacket off. Yeah.
And he's like, can I get you something? What do you want to eat? This food in here they're giving you is no good. Like, what can I get you? And he's like, I want coffee black. I want almonds unsalted. I want, like, he was very specific. this Dennis Bowman about what he wanted, and this guy, anything he wanted, he'd bring it to him, kind of like buttering him up, basically. Like I'm going to become friends with you, and it worked because he showed Matt and I were just talking about it before we came down. They had video on him the whole time. This Dennis Bowman's on the phone with his wife, like an idiot. He's like, they're doing anything I want.
Yeah, anything I tell them to.
This guy's great.
Yeah, they're eating out of my hands. Like they don't suspect a thing and all this other stuff. And
so he was breaking him down to the point that he's going to talk.
Sure.
And that was great to see that, like, it actually worked.
That makes sense. Like they're talking together like they're old friends.
Yeah.
But it kind of shows you sometimes like how dumb criminals or people that commit these things really are.
Man, shit.
Because like the guy's like, will say something. He's like, there's times, and Bowman will say like he has hurt feelings about something. The guy will be like, I feel the exact same way. He's like, why don't you tell me about that? And the guy like, just starts spewing, and then he's like, you know what I hate? And the guy's like, no, what do you hate? And he's like, I hate so-and-so. And the guy's like, yeah, me too. That really, gets my goat.
Yeah, and he just agrees with everything.
Me too.
Me too, man.
Yeah,
tell me more about it.
It reminds me of this guy too. It keeps coming up in my like TikTok and Instagram reels and all this. This guy goes in and breaks down dogs that are like aggressive, and he'll go into like Humane Society and this dog's, and they're like, don't go near the dog, it's aggressive. He'll go in, like, sit down and like face away from the dog and like slowly feed it treats and break it down until the dog likes him then. And it takes like sometimes a couple trips. Sometimes we'll do it all in one session, but you have this troubled animal that you just need to kind of like take your time and break them down and get them to trust you. And then, after a while it works out. But that's what he had to do with this guy. Because in the initial videos that they showed, Dennis Bowman was like kicking the chair, like, I don't know what you got. Get out of here. I don't want to talk to any, whatever. And he was very aggressive. And
they broke him down.
They
gave him treats.
They gave him treats. And they did. Starbucks.
No salt almonds.
Yeah, Starbucks. They had Chick-fil-A in there.
So he's getting Chick-fil-A. He's getting like Burger King for breakfast. He's like, they just brought me some tots.
I could tear up some Chick-fil-A right now.
I love Chick-fil-A.
Oh, I got to try that new pimento one.
Dude,
I have not tried. Oh, I love pimento.
It is banging. Oh, speaking of which, I got to drop this now since we're talking about it.
All right, go ahead.
I dove in. I gave it a shot. I'd seen enough commercials. I'd seen enough advertisements for it.
Do tell.
I did the chicken Big Mac.
No good, I heard.
No.
It's fucking terrible.
I heard that.
It is so bad.
It's funny you said that because I saw a commercial and Megan, she looks at me, I looked at her at the same time, and we're all like, what the hell is that?
It's so gnarly, dude. It's so bad. Now, look, I thought it was a great idea to the extent.
Does it have the Big Mac sauce?
Look, yeah, it's minus burger plus chicken. Fried
it's
chicken.
A big
beef.
chicken nugget, right?
It's a big. It's what you
2 all beef patties. So it would be 2 chicken patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions
on a sesame seed bun. Correct. All they did was take 2 pieces of that's what otherwise on the McChicken sandwich, and they put that in lieu of the burgers. So I'm a big fan of making my own little concoctions out of McDonald's stuff, right? So I'll get a cheeseburger and I'll get a fillet of fish, and I'll mash them both together. I'll take the lid off of one and the base off of another and put them together.
Like with
with the tartare?
Yeah, so that's I'll call that like a land and sea, right? Or a surf and turf.
He's like the bear.
It's like a surf and turf.
Yeah,
he's like
the bear over here. Yeah.
Or
or that guy that puts the salt on stuff.
Yeah,
he's like
Salt Bay.
Salt Bay.
Salt Bay.
Zap Bay.
Look, man, I'll definitely tear up some stuff and put it all together, but
I like making the Big Macs at home. Like with the recipe
is so fucking bad.
Yeah, no, dude. I would never try that.
Get the fuck rid of that.
That'll last for a week. That'll be like the McRib,
which is currently available in select stores.
Yes, that's it. That lasted for. I did like the McRib,
dude,
but a lot of people hated it.
Man, I didn't get that.
I saw one the other day. They said bring back the cheddar melt.
Oh,
yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, cheddar melt.
It was sautéed onions and cheddar cheese.
Yes,
it was like basically a cheesesteak, but on a burger.
Yeah. On a burger, yeah.
I like a good tuna melt. Those are delicious.
I don't know if that would fly well at McDonald's.
No.
All right.
Oh.
Also, let me guess real quick.
No, not real quick.
It's never ever really quick.
I got distracted by the chicken Big Macs.
So terrible.
But when they read you your rights, if you do or somebody, if the cops ask you for questioning,
Miranda,
you don't have to say anything. You say nothing. These people hang themselves.
Let's not forget, you have the right to remain silent.
Yes, just say lawyer. And it'll go on. Well, we've seen you at this, and be like, "Oh, have you seen me? You can see me when you call my lawyer."
And just keep shutting them down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Ask him for a McRib.
Ask for a McRib and say lawyer.
I don't know.
So this Dennis dude. So again, he's just. Why would you say at all? Like, again, kudos to John Smith. Kudos. Yeah. But why would you say even remotely
I don't even think that's his real name.
Well, I didn't kill her. Smooth. I didn't kill her, but I did. I was in her house that night after I got drunk, and I did kind of, I accidentally stabbed her. Like,
and then I moved away.
But then I got out of the house. So obviously somebody must have come in after I was there and continued to stab her. Like, what? Dude, you're a dumb ass.
Yeah, you're just well, obviously, like I said, the way
this guy's a fucking moron. Why would you say that?
He is just deny. You've been denying it. But that's what I said. This guy broke him down to the point he probably felt comfortable. Like, I can tell him this guy will believe because we're friends. And he was like, nah, I got you now. Gotcha. What's that guy say that from the Wire? Got your ass. You ever see that meme?
No.
The guy from The Wire?
I've never seen The Wire.
It's in Baltimore. It was supposed to be, cops
it's a great
in Baltimore.
show.
I on purpose never watched that show.
That's a rough show.
Yeah, I didn't want to know that there was that kind of crime going on less than 2 hours away from my house.
Yeah, it's a great show though. But they had that meme of the one black cop. And he's like, "Got your ass," and he's pulling the camera up. That's basically how this guy had him. Once he started talking, it was over.
This guy's a fucking idiot. Well, Dennis was to be extradited to Virginia for his trial. His only connection to the outside world was his wife and remaining daughter. There was no way either of them were moving to Virginia just to visit. Investigators devised a clever plan. Offered Dennis the possibility of remaining in Michigan if he divulged anything he knew about the true whereabouts of his adopted daughter, Aundria. Well, it didn't take long for this to sink into Dennis's tortured mind. In early December 2019, Dennis requested an in-person visit with his wife. During their conversation, he told his story of what happened to Aundria Bowman more than 30 years earlier on the night of March 11th, 1989. Consistent with his previous testimony, Dennis had returned home after having taken his wife to work. But Aundria hadn't run away. She was still at home when he arrived. She was preparing to run away. During a heated exchange, Dennis hit Aundria, causing her to fall down the stairs from the second floor of the house. The fall broke her neck. She died instantly. Fearing imprisonment, Dennis reported to police that Aundria had run away. In reality, he'd hidden her body in the barn on their property. Days after the incident, he stuffed her body into a cardboard barrel, having to chop her legs off in order for it to fit, and placed the barrel at the curb the next day for trash collection.
That's crazy.
Wow. So that's a kind of a flip-flop from, I came home and my daughter ran away.
Yeah, I mean, with these criminals and stuff, and if they've done other shit, I guess after you get caught for one thing... this dude had been in prison for 5 years. Right.
One thing you don't want to do is go back to fucking prison.
But at this point, like, they got him for the girl in Norfolk, right? So
he knew he was busted.
And
he's dead to rights.
He's done. He's done. Like, you're old. You're not getting out.
Correct.
So in his mind, I mean,
he just wants to be. So they tossed it out to him. They said, "Look, man, you could stay in Michigan. Look, the only people that in this whole fucking world who are going to talk to you is your wife, and if you're lucky, your daughter,
right? So
not the dead one." Not the one that's missing, the one that
she's not talking.
The one that you had, naturally with Brenda.
But go ahead.
Sorry,
Dave.
no, I was just gonna say, I wonder what the percentage like with people that get caught like that don't fess up. They just for pride, like fuck you, I'm not gonna give you anything else. But I would imagine that majority of people were like, I'm gonna just start talking because what benefit is it for me to not talk? I'm going to jail for life, or I'm going to the,
but
getting the death penalty.
His story here sounds made up also. If you would think of somebody that would break into somebody's house, murder, rape, torture, the whole thing with falling down
pushing
the steps,
her down the steps,
that sounds so made up. Because I remember, we had steps at my house when I was growing up. I don't know how many times I fell down those as a kid.
Shit, yeah.
Or even as an adult, if you or a teenager would roll down steps, it's not something they would break their neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's possible, but I wonder what the percentages are.
Yeah, that whole thing sounds made up. So it was probably some sort of rape, torture. I mean, he mutilated the body. It wasn't just the legs. The guy
cut something up like that.
He cut he cut her into like pieces after that to try to get her
into the barrel.
So it was, he's like, oh, the leg's a little too big. Let me chopping the leg down after he cut the legs off, chopping the arms.
First I grab him, then I choke him.
I wonder what you use for that. Like around the house. Like I have trouble cutting chicken sometimes.
I think he had like a type of a sawzall or maybe just a hacksaw.
Some big. You guys, like we were talking about that with these tools and shit.
So a hacksaw is going to a hacksaw. I think of so
that would get through the bone.
That'll get through the bone, but it's going to take you a long time because those teeth are very fine. That's certainly meant for cutting metal.
Like a chop saw or like a sawzall, or
you're going to want some decent teeth on that saw.
Yeah,
like a chainsaw.
Not necessarily.
That'd be messy though, I guess.
Yeah, chainsaw will be everywhere.
It needs some kind of serration to it in order to really get through that meat. But yeah, once you get to the bone, maybe a hacksaw. I'm sorry, yeah, maybe a hacksaw.
Well, think about it. Didn't the Jack the Ripper used like surgical tools from like the 1900s?
Yeah,
late 1800s.
He did in From Hell for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like just to think about that.
But somebody who would do that, I don't think it was. We had an argument at the top of the steps. I went to hit her. She rolled down. No, I'm sure it was like rape, murder, or rape, torture. I mean, just in this guy's mind, there was no way that. I think he said that just to be nice to his wife, to not tell her what really happened.
Thank you for reminding all of us about that. Let's not forget, and let's keep in the very forefront of our mind. He is telling this story to the only person in the whole world that has defended this man to the bone.
Yeah, she was a whack job.
She defended and loved and she would take a bullet for this guy. And now he is telling her, hey man, yeah, I lied. She didn't run away. I killed our adopted daughter.
It was an accident.
I chopped her fucking legs off and I put her in a fucking barrel.
Yeah, his excuse was like, because of my past record, I knew I couldn't call the police.
Shit, Matt, you're right. I'm sorry. I didn't kill our daughter. I pushed her down the steps.
She fell down the steps when I tried to.
That's right.
It was a little argument on the top of the steps.
But then once she was already dead, well, then I chopped her fucking legs off.
Right.
Because she couldn't fit
in the barrel.
Wasn't I had a nice Chianti and
yeah, he was just
a cigarette. And
I just can't wrap my fucking dome around that, dude. How do you? What kind of person is just? How does this happen? Like, I'm thinking it from both sides. Like, from the wife's side, sitting there hearing this story, like, God damn.
But she was like super religious, like very Patsy Cline, stand by your man type thing. Like whatever he told her, she's like, I'll accept it. Like I understand.
He wasn't helping out with dinner. He wasn't doing anything.
No,
she seems like one of them wives that's like, go sit down in the recliner and I'll bring, you know what I mean?
It wasn't like you
he ain't washing
had a long
dishes,
day at work, honey.
Right. He's not washing dishes. He's not wiping up.
But she seemed very backward, very just into anything this guy told her.
His excuse was like, I didn't want to break the family up anymore, so I just figured I had to hide this because I'd go back to prison. They wouldn't buy that it was an accident.
Sure.
For you listening also, he raised this girl from months old. Like this was his daughter.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not like directly from birth, but 6-7 months into.
Dude, yeah, it's basically his kid. Again, it's him and Brenda's kid. That's the thing. Like, look, just because it didn't pop out of her womb doesn't make it any less their child that they raised and reared.
According to her friends, though, and there again, it's on Netflix, but their interviews with friends, like he was very abusive to her and all that. So
I wonder, she said about sexual abuse before.
That's right.
Yeah, and I wonder what their relationship was the whole time through. Was he just an ass the whole time, or did it when she hit those teenage years and was rebelling, maybe, or maybe she wasn't? But if she was, did he lose his shit then?
So I thought about that too. If we look at the timeline, let's just a quick recap. This chick Aundria was 6 years old when he went into jail. She was 11 when he came out. So she's
5 years there.
So he's in prison 5 years. And I gotta believe. I mean, I saw what his wife looks like. I gotta believe those conjugal visits weren't so great. So he's in lockdown or lockup for 5 years. He comes out and she's just on the verge of getting into her starting puberty or whatever. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that this guy might had some
tendencies,
some throbbing urges
or whatever. Yeah,
carnal throbbing urges.
So it's not like far out or far fetched.
Not at all. And so
went down.
When we think about her and you hear the stories, well, she was acting out or she was rebelling or she was having problems with school. Maybe it's because
he was abusing her.
Yeah, he's abusing her.
I think, physically, sexually. He
touching her parts, man. That's
mentally, like he had her pretty messed up.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as we had mentioned, Brenda Bowman was devastated. She'd spent decades defending and believing in Dennis, all for nothing.
Like Jets fans.
Just like Jets fans. Not long after Dennis's...
He had a big win the other day.
Yeah, I know.
Not long after Dennis's revelation to Brenda, his story changed yet again. Within a letter he sent to Brenda, he documented that everything he'd admitted was true, except he didn't throw Aundria's body out with the trash. He, instead, buried her in a proper grave near a private graveyard. Police searched and searched. Aundria's body could not be found. Prosecutors would not move forward without a body. Brenda, now Dennis's only friend in the world, needed to get the truth out of him. And then it happened, not but days later. During a phone call with Brenda, Dennis, on his own volition, revealed Aundria's location. He'd actually buried that cardboard barrel with Aundria's body in it right in their own backyard. And when they relocated to their next house not long after Aundria went missing, he exhumed the barrel and buried it at their new house. Police acted quickly. And sure enough, after careful excavation, they discovered the remains of Aundria Bowman in February 2020. Her body had been chopped up and separated into 4 bags. The bags had been placed in the cardboard barrel, along with dozens of dirty diapers to mask the smell and ward off any would-be cadaver dogs.
Yeah, because they actually sent out cadaver dogs and
a
earlier,
couple times, yeah,
and they didn't find anything.
and that was
This
from
is so fucked up, man.
well, the mom Tarkanian, her actual mom, was the one saying there's something in that backyard.
There was vegetation that would grow weird, like around it. This area was always changing.
Interesting.
And she pushed the
cops to do it a couple
Go
times,
look
yeah.
at that. There's something weird here.
This is with the drones and the Google Mappy stuff.
yeah,
and
that was
whatever.
all her own.
But she was telling them this months ahead of time that there's something in his backyard. I need you guys to check that out. That something's not right. And the cops did. They got the cadaver dogs and all these other things. They looked around. They're like, look, there's nothing here, lady. Like, I don't know what we got to leave these people alone.
Move along, yeah.
So far, this guy has 3 different stories just of the body alone.
He's switching it up.
Well, he said something nice.
He threw it away. First, he said, fuck it. I just put it down with the trash. He took the trash guys took it. 2, well, I put her in a proper grave. Again, after I chopped her the fuck up. I put her in a proper grave. I wrapped her in a nice, cloth.
Yeah, a cloth and put flowers around her.
Flowers and cloves and bullshit and spices. And, she looked so beautiful and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then 3rd, fuck it. The real truth is I buried her in our backyard. And then when we moved, I
dug her up and took her with us.
Brought her the fuck with us.
Got moving around.
Jesus Christ.
But I think his wife did say that. She's like, what are you talking about? We moved since then. Like, there's no way she's in the backyard. You're crazy. And the guy's like, I loaded it up with the rest of the stuff we were moving.
You're goddamn right. I'm crazy. I dug up the fucking barrel and I brought her with me.
As those investigators were searching through the barrel and they found the diapers, they also found, which was eerie, it was like a York peppermint patty wrapper. And on it was like manufactured 1989 or
I hate
whatever.
those goddamn things.
Oh, I love them.
I can't
I throw
stand
them in the freezer. And,
Well, again, too, what's eerie about that York peppermint patty is the guy was sitting there doing this shit while he was enjoying, like we said,
Candy.
like having a
Right.
York peppermint patty and
Right.
yeah.
probably listening to something on the radio, some yacht rock.
Yeah,
Shit's
right.
crazy, man.
Dude, it's like I hear this story about this guy eating this candy while he's chopping up his daughter's fucking body. Jesus Christ.
But this is his daughter, and he's putting her pieces in dirty soiled
bags.
diapers.
But I'm reminded
In
of
bags.
of the mute guy from Gone in 60 Seconds. Sway, I think is
Sway in the morning.
yeah, Sway in the morning. No, so he worked in the coroner's office, and he's sitting there eating a sandwich in the coroner's office when he gets a call from Nicolas Cage.
I don't remember.
And he puts it on the dead guy's just right on his stomach, and then just goes take the call.
like no big deal.
Yeah, they show that in like movies with coroners or whatever. Like they're sitting there enjoying a sandwich. Or
Well, that's that Roy DeMeo, that guy you covered years. It has been years ago.
It's 3 years ago.
We did an episode on Roy DeMeo, the Gemini method. He was a mob dude, and they were saying like he was the expert at disposing of bodies, and they'd have these bodies hanging in the bathtub.
Yep.
And Matt, I remember, wrote it up, and he was saying how they'd cut him up, and he'd be eating a sandwich in one hand and like cutting somebody's leg off with the other, like wiping the blood off, like no big deal. Some people are just wired different like that.
Yeah, like he would have like other people are trying to do it with gloves, like staying away, putting like masks on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy's like sitting there eating some sausage.
Desensitized to it to the point like, it doesn't bother me.
Was it intentional that this crazy ass piece of shit put that York peppermint patty wrapper in there? Was it intentional?
Like a time capsule?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Maybe.
No, maybe he was just sitting there enjoying a York peppermint patty.
It's possible. Maybe I'm looking too far into it.
Yeah, you're diving.
Or maybe it's maybe he was saying like kind of saying like it's trash.
Oh, that reminds me. That's right. Let's not forget.
You guys are getting way too into this.
Well, no,
it's true. No, it is true.
It is trash because not only did he do that, he threw out a couple dozen dirty, shitty diapers in the barrel of his chopped up daughter's fucking body.
Mm-hmm. You're basically like comparing her to trash.
Basically, yeah.
Saying that. But who thinks of that though? Like, because they brought those dogs in. Like, how was he even thinking at the time? Oh, I got all these shitty diapers for my younger daughter.
The smell.
That was before the internet.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, how did he figure that out? I guess so. The dog smells shit. It's not getting all alerted because it smells like some
rotting corpse.
Yeah, I might pick up a little of something in there, but that's just shit. That's a
right.
shit diaper.
The power of the shit is going to overpower the smell of the rotting corpse.
Yeah.
Shit power.
Yeah. Well, that's true. That's what throws them off. They're like, oh, like exactly like you said, Matt. All right. Well, Dennis's newfound relief in telling the truth didn't stop with the story of Aundria. He would go on to tell authorities that he'd sexually assaulted no less than 4 women in the 70s and 80s and had gotten away with it. In February 2022, Dennis pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 35 to 50 years in prison for Aundria's murder. That's on top of his previous life sentences for the rape and murder of Doyle and the 20 years he'd gotten for the burglary of her home. Now 75 years old, Dennis is currently incarcerated at the River North Correctional Center in Virginia.
Oh, so they did move him to Virginia then?
He was in Virginia to begin with.
Right, but wasn't his wife and kid in Michigan or no?
Yeah, that was the thing. So
yeah, they said fuck
they never
that.
moved him back. That's correct. They tossed that out there as a thing. Like, hey man,
if you're
in prison for this Doyle murder, this Kathleen Doyle rape and murder thing that you said you did in a drunken stupor or whatever, but was obviously a fucking lie.
Right.
So you're in prison in Virginia. We'll consider We'll do everything we can to move you to Michigan if you can tell us anything about Aundria's whereabouts.
Right, but he didn't. I guess he kind of confessed over a phone call, and
Either way, they said, you know what, we were just fucking with you. We're not going to move you to Michigan. Go fuck yourself.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
No, they after the way that they found Bowman's body, like, you know, just wrapped in dirty diapers and thrown and cut up like that, they were kind of like, you ain't getting nothing, man.
You got to get yours, and I got to get mine.
Got to get mine, yeah.
That's right.
A lot of times it is like a family member that's responsible, you know, and I wonder what this guy's like in his public life with like neighbors and friends. Like they didn't really go, they had the family members that kind of talk shit on him a little bit, but the guy he worked with, what they say about him, like, did they think something was off or was like, no, Dennis was just a normal guy. Like, you know, he was
That's
like,
what they usually say on all the interviews. Like, oh yeah, we just, we had a golf tournament last week.
Yeah, like because this guy put on a
seriously.
He was in a bowling league with his friends.
Yeah. Oh man, we are going to
do that.
It's going to happen.
Nutley Nick once in on the 4th.
Okay,
that's what he told me.
Okay,
anyway,
we could be called like Nutley's bunch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
but I just wonder about that with this guy because they didn't really go much into his life outside of like this. Like not like what did he do?
He was military.
Right. He was
Navy.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm trying to say though? Like what people thought of him outside of the people that really knew him.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. If people were like, if they thought he was that weird, there would have been more talk in the documentary.
Exactly.
Like he was just a regular guy, had a wife.
It's always the quiet ones.
Mm-hmm.
Such a great guy. They adopted a daughter. Like this.
Right.
It's it's the all-American family.
All American.
Merca.
Hey guys, can you wrap it up?
Oh,
sure.
Just in time.
Yeah, right.
So we were talking about biases earlier in slants. There's what the reason I really tried not to rely on this Netflix series. Again, I was happy to watch it, but I did not at all like what I felt was the push or the slant or the bias of the potentials of dangers in adoption. Like that's what I found. That was my biggest takeaway from that show was, look, man, adoption's fucking dangerous. You don't know what's going to happen to your kid if you give him up for adoption. Like, look at what happened to this one. This one went to a crazy fucking dude who killed his fucking daughter.
Is that what you like really took out of it?
That's
like
what,
the whole thing?
That's what I got out of it.
Or this. Like a hint of that. Like
that was my biggest.
Okay.
That was maybe it's because I just watched it and it was stuck in me that when I heard it once or I felt that once, it probably polluted the rest of the show for me.
Yeah.
But like this Kathy Turkanian is a bitch. Like she is a bitch, man. Like, don't come back decades later and say, I told you so. Or here I am, a hero mother, because I solved the mystery of the murder of my daughter that I gave up X number of years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, look, good for you. Great job. But don't come back here trying to play mother of the year. Look, fuck off. You gave your daughter up for adoption. Don't come back here Monday morning quarterbacking this shit.
I get where you're coming from, but in her defense, she kind of got drawn back into it
when she found out that the kid was
with the DNA.
Yeah, the DNA.
Sure. You know, so
it sparked something in her, I think, and she was like, I didn't do, or maybe she felt she didn't do something right years ago, so she wanted to make something right.
Right. I get exactly what Zap's saying.
I can see what Matt just said, though. I can see what he's saying.
Yeah, and I think that she probably obviously would have known nothing of this.
Yeah, if she didn't get the DNA, she would have gave two shits
in the mail, and yeah, like maybe she took it too far, but in the end, she ended up being right.
Yep.
So I mean, if she would have been wrong, we talking a totally different story. But obviously, she was on to something, and maybe it was that they say mother's intuition. Like even though she gave her up for adoption, like.
I think
she still had
that's
a feeling the whole time, like,
right.
oh, something bad happened. Like, I don't think she just ran away.
That's what made the story what it is, though, was the whole fact that she did give this kid, she didn't know this kid from Eve, you know? And then all of a sudden, she gets the thing with the DNA, and I think it turned her world around. She's like, wait, well, then where is this kid?
Right.
Because it still is, I gave birth to this child. So
Sure.
I never even thought of that angle that you're saying. But now that you say that, I mean, I could see, but I wonder if anybody really did sit down and watch that and go, I'm never doing that because my kid will end up missing or dead or whatever like that. Like, I didn't even think of that angle, honestly. But that's interesting to think.
Yeah, that was a.
But there again, as you mentioned, you brought up that you've been adopted. You think that kind of like makes you look at everything to do with adoption that way, like that it's like that angle, or you know
so
what I
for
mean?
sure, yeah,
that you can see
sure.
it quicker than like me or Matt or somebody else that you know.
Yeah, so I'm yeah, for sure, absolutely. That would be in fact my bias. You know what I mean? Just
right.
That would be my angle. Is like, look, I'm going to be a huge proponent of adoption.
Right.
Carrying babies to term. Right. Making the babies, having the babies. There are tons of couples out there who aren't able to conceive.
And you had a very great life success story. You know that you got adopted and you moved, you know what I mean. And it's majority of the time, would you say it turns out good?
Sure.
So you have one of these times, but this could have happened to
anyone.
This could have happened to a biological kid too. This absolutely could have happened to anybody's biological child. You can have some crazy ass shit, crazy fucking father that's going to kill a daughter. That shit happens all of the time.
Right. Her life could have been just as bad with the birth mother.
That's right. That's exactly right. Or conversely, that's right. She could have been doing traveling circus shit with Kathy Turkanian.
Right. Matt, what'd you think of it?
It was I remember you were saying something about it, and I knew it was on Netflix. I didn't really check it out, but the story was very interesting, and I think it was with the adoption. What Zap was saying, I look at that angle and like, yeah, but I think the story was more about a mom who gave this kid up because she was in the situation where her daughter ran away too. I think they were very similar. What she said, at the same age, and so she knew that. But I think the only reason that she did get involved, she's like, well, hold on, where is the kid at then? And it just, it was just something that I think she did it for herself too. I think for closure, just to be like, oh, I'm either going to find this kid, and maybe I can, reconnect or ignite something that we never had, or, there's foul play.
I definitely enjoyed the way they did the documentary on Netflix because I had no idea that it was going to go the way it went. I figured that in the middle of it, like, okay, maybe the parents were involved, but I had no idea the father would turn out being basically a serial killer.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
I guess you would say what he went on to do, like the sick stuff he did. Like, I didn't see that angle coming at all. But I also never looked at it with the things you brought up or what, Matt brought up. And it's interesting to see somebody else's perspective on it. But I thought it was a good, interesting story. And I mean, at least it had some closure.
Sure.
It's not the ending.
Yeah, it didn't end up well.
That anybody would have wanted, but he's in jail and I'm sure he'll die there.
They ended
not
up
getting out.
So they ended up cremating Aundria's remains.
Oh yeah, this part. Go ahead, man. This was.
Oh yeah,
So
this is fucked up.
Yeah, so they cremated this broad, and they gave half of her ashes to one mother and half of her ashes to the other.
And that was Bowman. I guess she was like, I want to give you something, and like wrote this like big letter, like she would be at ease, and she's like, I want you to have half of the ashes.
So, that's it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. It didn't come from the authorities. That's the even more fucked up part. So Brenda Bowman got all of the ashes, and she said, okay, Kathy, you can have half. So it's funny. Kathy says, God damn, Kathy is such a fucking bitch, by the way. So Kathy says, which half did I get?
Yeah, right.
Is it her left half? Is it her lower half? Is there what half is it?
I know that is.
No, but I think
very morbid when you
you're
think of it that way.
Fucking moron.
But no, but after all the stress that body had been through in life and death, and I guess Tarkanian was like, and you're still going to put that stress that she can't be whole.
Why don't you put her together?
It can't be complete.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Bury the ashes somewhere, and you can go visit it.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that makes like ghosts or like things in the air, like, because I don't think it's ever completely set to rest.
Settled, right? Yeah. But
it's just my opinion.
I believe in that.
I believe in the paranormal like that.
And that's what's
just me.
That's what happens after 2 weeks. I totally forgot about that ending with the ashes and stuff.
Yeah, but don't you think like if something's
fucking Matt? I'm sorry. I can't. I'm trying not to laugh here, but Matt's fucking hilarious.
No, that's
what the paranormal.
Yeah, he's like, dude, this is how ghosts are made, man. This is how ghosts come about, man. You start splitting up ashes.
You don't. No, it's not right. You don't do that because I don't think it's complete. The soul's not at rest.
Yeah,
it's like get my other half back, man. I don't know.
It can go that way.
It could be.
Yeah.
I believe in a soul. I believe that there is things that disturb.
It's like the headless horseman.
Yeah, but there's in death. I think if you're not released the right way, like you can still be caught on this earth. I don't know.
In the middle.
Yeah, which is like well, we've always learned about that too
in the multiverse. You're talking about purgatory.
Yeah, but I don't think it's like I mean, it's purgatory in the sense that they tell about it. But I think if you're not like truly at rest on this earth, like I don't think you are released into the next dimension, whatever you believe.
Shit, crap! I just looked at the time. Speaking of released,
we got to release this episode online.
I know it is actually coming out in a couple of days. Plus, I want to watch Penn State, Ohio State. So
it's at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So
I
think I have golf today.
Yeah. So we hope you're enjoying the podcast. Zap, thanks for writing that up.
Hey, thanks.
Great job.
Everybody.
Yes, good job.
And we'll be back next week with a vintage cinema review, and after that, back to true crime. So you guys got anything else?
I got nothing.
All right, guess that's it for now. So we'll catch you where?
On the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace.
Thanks for hanging out in the old dirty basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is available streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We outie 5000.